fellow travelers, Mark here with Woltersworld, and today we're in Stockholm, Sweden at the airport. And today we're going to talk about what are the things you can do when you've got a long layover at the airport, whether it's just reading a book or people watching or maybe going to town. Here's some of the things I recommend you do. Because let's be honest, we got to get to the airport 2 or 3 hours beforehand. We're going to be sitting around anyway, even if you don't have layovers. So what are things we can do? Well, we can always start with the old standbys. You know, go shopping. Go find that souvenir. Maybe I need to go to another Red Horse here in Stockholm for one of my kids. You know, you have the shopping stuff. Read a book. Watch stuff on your phone. Play video games on your phone or your Switch or whatever. I mean, there's those basic things out there, but we all know that. But what are some other things you can do? Well, obviously, if you can get to the lounge. I mean, lounges are great. I know there's restrictions. You got to pay money for it. But if you got a lot of time, I find those to be a good way to kind of make some of the money back and how much they cost, because you're going to eat the food, you're going to drink the stuff, and if you do the same thing in the airport, it's going to cost you, $50 anyway, so it's kind of paying for itself that way. But it gives you a chance to relax. It gives you space. Also, it gives you a chance to relax. You're not worrying about your stuff. You don't have people going all over the place. You got some snacks that are going to be there, some food are going to be there, drinks. It just makes life a little bit easier. Also, they have the people that can help you if there's any issues. And for me, if any time I have more than 5 hour layover, or I'm stuck at the airport for 5 hours or more, if I know there's going to be a delay or something, those are the ones where I'm definitely going to get the lounge. It's worth the money for that. Now here's one none of us workers want to hear. Also, if you're stuck here at the airport just waiting around, getting some work done, checking those emails, getting things out of the way, just makes things smoother for you. I actually do that before I'm flying back, going back to work. It's kind of like, okay, I got all that done, so when I get back to work on my first day, I don't have 500 emails waiting for me. I only have 200 waiting for me, so that's kind of helpful. Now, another thing you might do is kind of have that eternal debate. Is the $7 water and $9 muffin really worth it? Because you know how prices get a little bit interesting when you are at the airport. You can have that eternal debate, or maybe just go to Chili's at the food court instead. I don't know. And another very popular way to pass the time at the airport is to hit the bar. Yes, I have hit the bar a few times, and what's nice, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. No one cares if you're drinking at 6 a.m. when I'm here at the airport now, or 6 p.m. The bar is going to be open, so you can get a drink, or 2, or 3. But be careful, because you don't have too many. And also, I will warn you this, if you get too close to your boarding time, remember, it always takes them forever to get your receipt, or your bill, so you might want to pay up as you go. Another thing I recommend you doing is checking the boards often to make sure that your gate hasn't changed. So I'm going to Riga at 60 and the 62. We just got to keep checking, because these things do change, and I see people that get really upset because they don't realize the gates change. So one of the things you want to do, just every so often, check it out. Maybe have the app for the airline, because they'll update it as well, but it's always a good idea to check. And of course, the next thing we got to do is this. And that's to make sure that your gate actually exists. So now that I know that 62 does exist, now I can go get a snack or maybe hit the bar. Now, if you've got a long flight coming, one thing I do recommend is trying to get some steps in before you go. Because, if you're going to be sitting for so long, it's better to get a little exercise in before you go. I know it's weird me saying exercise, but I'll literally walk for miles in at the Atlanta airport or in Chicago, any big airport. Even this one, I'm in Terminal 2 in Stockholm. It's not very big, but I'm just walking back and forth to get some steps in, just to, spend some time so I can burn calories before I stuff some in my face. Now, another thing you can do is if you have a longer layover, like 6 or 7 hours, you can always go into town and see things like the Arlanda Express will actually get you from the Stockholm airport into downtown Stockholm, where the sites are, in 18 minutes. I mean, you're in, you can go see stuff, and then you can come back out. I will say with this one, it's always good to know, hey, how long are the security lines, so you know how much early you have to get back. For example, some place I've gone, it wasn't even worth it to go in because the security lines were 2 hours long because it was peak season, so it wasn't really worth it, because I'm wait, if I go in, it takes me half hour to get out of the airport, half hour into town, that's 1 hour, and then I got to have 2 hours to get back in, that's 3 hours, and if I got 5 hours, it's maybe cutting a little bit too close, so that's why it's kind of important. But honestly, some places I've gone, I do go in. I used to fly in from the US to Lithuania, and I'd have a long layover in London. I would literally take the tube into London, go see a friend of mine, have lunch, go see a site, take the tube back out, and then have that evening flight to Lithuania. So it was kind of nice. And having easy public transport going in and out it was really helpful. So I can make it so you get to see one extra city when you come in. I know we were flying to China and we went via Helsinki and we had something like 9 hours in between flights. So we actually, went in for the day, got to see the sights. It was like a nice, relaxing, like little taste of Finland visit. And then we were on our way. But also another thing you could do if you have a longer layover, even if it's not that long of a layover, you might look at a pod hotel. Now, some of them will be like, oh, you have like 12 hours or something, like you get a day of it. Some of them you can just get for an hour or two. I know there's like these suites they have at the Atlanta airport that you can get for an hour or 2 hours or really however long you want, just have you pay. But I'll go in there just for an hour or two just to relax. I can lay down, take a nap, not worry about my stuff, not have the noise, and that kind of helps me recharge before I fly. Because I'm one of those people that doesn't fly very well in terms of like sleeping. Like I can have a 16-hour flight. I am not sleeping on it. It sucks. It really sucks. I could be up all day and then go to sleep. Nope, ain't gonna happen. But what's nice with those kind of pod hotels or hotels that are in the airports, it gives you a chance to rest. It gives you a chance to refresh, maybe take a shower, especially if you have one of those long layovers. It kind of makes things a little bit nicer. So that could be something you want to look into. Another thing I like to do when I go to the airport is just people watch. Like you see humanity when you're at the airport, both the good, the people getting ready to go to an exciting vacation or the kids that are like, yeah, we're going to Disney, or, oh, I'm going my first time to Paris. Like you see that happiness, you see that good part of life. But also sometimes you see the bad part of life. You see people not at their best, like the kids having the meltdown, the parents having the meltdown, the business people having meltdowns when they're going on the plane. So it is one of those things just to kind of like watch the world go by. And what's cool is no matter what airport you go to, you get people from all over the world. So you kind of see the world going by. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. Another thing you might want to do when you're here, it's like if you don't have the money for the lounge, you don't want to spend money on anything, you don't have time to go into town, you just want to kind of veg out, you can do the veg out. Like I actually like to try to find places that are kind of away from it all, where people aren't. Now, some airports you can't do that. Like we were flying back from Cartagena and literally every inch of the airport is packed all the time. However, I was in Chicago in Terminal 5 and down at the very end, tons of seats. There's like 2 gates. There's nobody there. So I literally could just sit back, relax, put my feet up, take a nap, just like be away from it all and just kind of camp out there. So that's one of those things, especially if you got a long layover, you'd rather find a place to camp out so you don't have to keep moving around. So that's a nice thing to do. And of course, you can always splurge on yourself when you go to the airport. They always have those spas, the mani-pedi places, right? Or the massages and stuff. You could do that. And that's one of those things, like if you get stressed out before flights or you're scared of flying, sometimes just having that massage, just getting that pedicure really can like help you calm down. And that could be a nice thing. And also, if you got all this time, why not feel a little bit better about getting ready to sit on a plane for 10 hours flying back to Chicago? Okay, let's see. Still 62. Now, I know I said there's shopping, but then there's duty-free shopping. When you randomly buy a big bag of candy for your kid or for the flight attendants. It's just one of those other things you might do during your time here, because maybe I do need 500 gallons of perfume and whiskey at the same time. It's an option. Another thing I do at the airport when I'm waiting around is I actually look at the boards and look at the gates and see where the flights go and see if there's any new destinations I want to check out. And I really want to go to Bergen. I really want to go now. Yep, still at gate 62, and they actually have the airline up, and we're going to Riga. So always check. Just keep checking. That's like if you get bored, just make sure you're still at the same gate. Give you something to do. Another thing I want to mention is, I keep talking about ways to pass the time, but don't forget about the time, because the boarding gates close sometimes 20 minutes before actual departure. So though my flight's at 8:05 in the morning, that doesn't mean I can run on there at 8:05 and show up at the gate at 8 o'clock or something like that. No, I need to be here at least 30 minutes before to make sure I can get on the plane, okay? So don't pass your time by passing time and missing your flight. So what is it that you do at the airport when you're waiting for your flights? Is it reading a book? Is it people watching? Is it just hitting up the bar? Let us know in the comments below so we can help other travelers have new things to do when they go to the airport. Because honestly, I think I'm going to go hit the bar and read a book. See you later, and bye from here in Stockholm.